Good afternoon, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone Conversations with the Ancients. My name's Priscilla, and below is my friend Heather, co-host, and today we get to have Starfish Jennie with us. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks. Hi, everybody.
We're so excited to have you.
I love putting a face to the name. It's so helpful.
Yeah,
it is. Well, Jennie and I are in a couple of psychic practices together, so I've got to meet.
I meant to go last night, but I was working.
That's okay. Come when you can. Hey, Akila, how are you today?
I got to get
welcome.
That stuff done earlier.
That's all right. So, how is Jennie today?
Great, fabulous, wonderful,
Good.
Happy.
It's a weekend. I got to swim in the pool today. My trainer comes on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And Saturdays we hop in the pool after the workout because I only have about 30 minutes I can do that before I have to go run in and get a shower and dye my locks and all that nonsense.
I love your hair. I love your pink hair.
Thank you.
And I was going to say, I'm so used to having it in the afternoon that having it 1 o'clock my time is such a big adjustment.
I bet it is.
I really appreciate when you say showtime.
Okay, I'll keep doing it then.
Yeah, until I get into the habit.
That's great.
So that I keep it.
Hey, before we start, let's pull a card for the collective real quick.
Okay.
You guys all have cards? I didn't even think about it earlier.
I don't have my cards available.
Didn't tell me, but I got them now.
Okay.
You guys do it.
Okay. Say hello to Akila and Janet and Majestic Oracle. Can't believe I did that.
Wow. Hello, you guys.
How is everybody today? Where did the card go?
Oh, you've been okay. I don't feel so bad about letting over to get it. There's not that much.
I lost two.
It's not so bad.
I lost two. That was not good.
Appreciate
so, what we're going to do today, I got the shapeshifter.
Cool.
I love that. He's the one that talks about transforming and unveiling our gifts, knowing that we have all that in us. If all we have to do is let it out. I love him. He's got a wolf, and I think it's a hawk, but it also looks like a golden eagle, and he's wrapped in the wings of it. So I think that's pretty cool.
I got right. So I think we're supposed to be creative and keeping track of everything that's going on.
Awesome.
Like in our last show, they were saying if you're going to look at the Akashic records, you need to write everything down because it won't make sense with you.
True. So, or record it.
Yeah, I don't listen to recordings that well because of my hearing. I write.
Right.
Like when I watch TV, I want the words.
And Jennie just took that Akashic record class, and didn't you just?
I did. Oh my goodness. It changes your life. That's hard to believe that a 2-hour class can change your life, but it does. It changes your life. Not only that, it can help change
other people's lives.
People that you read.
Yeah.
I've done some amazing readings, and talking about writing everything down, I do write it down. And it's not so I think the energy is changing, and the veil is thinner, and it's so easy to it's so fast. So when I'm in the records, in somebody's records, it's like you're high and you're happy, and the answers come immediately. When you're doing mediumship or something else, you got to sit there and wait for the person and call the person in, and you have to wait. But when you're in somebody's Akashic records, their Akashic records masters are right there. Every single person has 2 Akashic records masters sitting around waiting for you to talk to them. And then once you do, they get so happy. They, are right there. So the answers you get are immediate and they're right. So you can ask certain questions. You can't say, should I move to so-and-so, because they don't really care where you live. They don't.
Exactly.
But you can ask things like, am I on my soul path? if I learned everything that I need to learn from this relationship, things like that. Real guidance. Yeah.
I found it fantastic. I had a reading with, as you know, with Terry the other day, and you're right. You feel so happy when you're there.
You are.
Feel, well, you just feel that love.
Yeah. So
she
laughs a lot when she's in the records. I want to cry. I get overcome with wanting to cry, but I'm not a crier. But that's the way I feel. I just feel overwhelmed with love. It's just the best feeling that I've really ever experienced.
I want to say hi to Warrior Girl because I have not seen Warrior Girl for a while. And
Warrior Girl?
I haven't seen her on the chat for a long time.
I know. So hi and big hugs to you, Warrior Girl. Well, yes. Hi and hugs to all of you. Morella, Janet, C, Gina, M, Amanda.
We're so glad you're all here.
We really are. And we are kind of off on the Akashic records these days because so many of us have taken the class, are getting ready to take the class. Heather and I are in the October class.
Right. So and we've done a lot of research on it and had somebody talk about it. And then we also have reported that on the research. So yeah, it just seemed to all fit together. And I guess that's what we were supposed to talk about.
And then the practice, we practice every Sunday night. It's the only I've been practicing for like 3 years. I took the original class with Susan and Medium Kim. I've been practicing, and I sometimes I dread practicing, but with Akashic records, I can't wait. I cannot wait to do the practice. It's just
you're making time.
So happy.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, what Jennie was going to talk to us about today, which I found fascinating. Are you still up for it, Jennie?
Sure. I mean, I like talking about the Akashic records too.
Well, we can come back to the Akashic records if we have time at the end, but I think your story is super uplifting. And I think it's, we can all relate to at our ages, to the illnesses and things that happen to us in our lifetimes. And, we've all made it. We're still here. God knows. I'm going to be 71 next month. I can't bloody believe it. I didn't think I'd make it to 30.
She's still young. I'm older than you.
The way we acted when we were teenagers and in college, we're shocked that we're still here.
Exactly. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Jennie, and let you start with your story because I think everybody's going to really find it uplifting.
So I'm not exactly okay. So the first inclination that I had that I was going to have a different life was I grew up knowing that there was something I had to do. So it was a contract, and now I know it was a contract, but I didn't know it then. But I did remember from before I came that there was something I had to do, and I was dreading it. But I knew I had to have as much fun as possible beforehand. So I had a great time in
I love that. I knew I had to have
I had a great time in junior high school. I had a great time in high school, and then I had a great time in college. And then I got married and moved to LA, and then it happened. So it started off with I took a flu shot, and I remember the doctor saying, he was from South Africa. He was really cool. And he said, "Are you sure you want this?" And I said, "Yeah, I can't afford to get sick." And boy, 2 days later, I was down, and I didn't get out of bed for 2 years. 2 years.
Oh my God.
I couldn't get my head off the pillow. Seriously, I would crawl to the bathroom. That's how bad it was. But that wasn't the only thing that was wrong with me. So I had mono 4 times, once age 14, once age 15, once age 21, then when I was 25. So at this point, I was about 27. And so I should have never taken that shot. But anyway, that wasn't all of it. It turned out, so I was for 20 years. And I went from doctor to doctor. I was in bed. And my husband, this is another thing about contracts. My husband and I had a contract to take care of each other. So he took care of me for 20 years. And then when I got well, I took care of him for 17 years.
How did you get well?
That's a whole other thing.
How did you get well?
Okay, so that I was misdiagnosed. Nobody ever gave me an MRI. I went to the best doctors. I paid a lot of money for those doctors. And then I was watching Suzanne Summers, and she was talking about bioidentical hormones. So I called, at that time I was living in Atlanta, and I called a pharmacy that was a compounding pharmacy. And I said, who's writing prescriptions for bioidenticals? So they gave me the name of a doctor. And at that point, I had given up on doctors. I had just given up. Yeah. And, they said I was crazy, that, it was all in my head. I was depressed, the whole thing. And then I went to see him, and I told him my story, and he just came bounding into the room with this big smile on his face. And he goes, oh, you got more going on than that. And he sent me to an endocrinologist. And so she took one look at me, and she said, oh, you have a brain tumor, and you need to have an MRI right now. And I started laughing at her, and I'm like, yeah, you're trying to put me in your little endocrinology box. Right. So I did it just to prove her wrong, and she was right. I had a tumor on my pituitary gland, which is right there. And she had done her residency at the Mayo Clinic, and she did her fellowship at Emory University. So she sent me to Emory University, which happened to be down the street from me. And I met this famous doctor, and he is a brain surgeon, and he only does surgeries for pituitary tumors. So they went into my up through my nose with a scalpel and a mirror, a camera, bored a hole in my skull, and took that tumor off of my pituitary gland and pulled it out. And at that point, 20 years, I was so sick. I couldn't talk to people. I couldn't watch TV and listen to TV at the same time. It was just too much coming into me. And so I had a disease called acromegaly, and it's caused by a tumor on your pituitary gland. The same thing as giantism. The tallest people in the world have the same disease. The only difference, like the people that are 9 feet tall, 8 feet tall, but the difference was I got it after puberty and they got it before.
Interesting.
So giantism is when you're still growing. So mine was called acromegaly, and so I really had no personality. I had nothing. I was just a lump in a bed, and I would lay in the fetal position. And then as soon as I had that surgery, I went back to being the person I was in college. Almost immediately, like boom. And they said, well, we're not positive you're well. And I'm like, oh, I know I'm well. I am definitely well. So I feel like I'm a miracle. But during that time when I was sick, it was like having 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot, here. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I would imagine. So I describe it as being a prisoner in your body. So I used to imagine what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I was manifesting, but I would imagine just so I wouldn't go nuts.
Sure.
And I was in a lot of pain too. And they call it bone pain. I thought it was nerve pain, but I would imagine living on the coast of South Carolina. I would imagine driving down those roads in South Carolina, which I love so much. These 2-lane roads, and I would imagine being around the marsh. And I saw a movie called Paradise, which was filmed at the time in Beaufort, South Carolina. So I got that vision in my head, and I just imagined for years.
Wow.
That I was there, and eventually it happened. So I always knew.
So you hadn't lived in.
I would get well.
You didn't live in Hilton Head at that point.
No, I lived in Atlanta at the time.
Because Beaufort is close to Hilton Head, right?
Yes.
Very close. I've actually been there. My husband and I looked at that area to live in before we decided.
It's really beautiful.
It was beautiful.
I mean, I grew up going to Myrtle Beach, so I knew what the beach looked like.
Yeah.
But I used that movie and just zeroed in, and I just used it so I wouldn't go crazy. And I had an exit plan too. Like when you're that sick, you have to have an exit plan. Having an exit plan, I had like a suicide plan. But
I understand that.
That gives you power because you don't use it. You don't exercise it.
Mm-hmm.
But I had it if I needed it. And all these doctors said, you're crazy, yada, yada, yada. But then I think at the worst time was 1999. I couldn't feel anything in my body. And I went to Hilton Head and I knew that I needed to get there. And if I didn't get there, I was going to die. But then when I was there, Spirit led me to a certain person who was an angel person. And she helped me get to a doctor who thought outside of the box. So Spirit can lead you to the people that you need that can help you get well. So
you just have to ask.
Yeah. So when I was like at the end of my rope, I said, okay, God, take me now. I give up. And that's when I started to things started moving in the direction of me getting well. Yeah. And it took years. It took 8 years, but I always had hope. I gave it over to Spirit, and then Spirit led me to the people who could help me.
And that's what she did for the show. You turned it over to Spirit and said, send me people. And they did.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Yeah. So there's always hope.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need the right doctor.
But it's just really sad because you go through so many doctors and they dare to tell you you're crazy if you don't fit in your little box. It's just
that I was crazy. They said you can't walk because you just think you can't walk. I'm like, no, you're wrong.
No.
I knew I was right. And so I was really lucky that my husband and his side of the family believed me. My side of the family, on the other hand, did not believe me. So,
wow. So when did you get the surgery? After you moved to Hilton Head?
I had this surgery in 2007. So I went to Hilton Head in 1999 and stayed for like 3 months, and then got the right doctor, the right drug to get me better until I could get the surgery. They still didn't know what was wrong with me. But this guy gave me a drug that boosted my immune system long enough to keep me alive so that I could stay alive long enough to find out what was really wrong.
Wow. So that lasted like 20 years.
So I got sick in 1987 and I got well in 2007.
Wow.
It was exactly 20 years.
Yep.
Exactly. So, friends of mine that had known me my whole life, they didn't believe me. They didn't believe I was sick. My doctor didn't believe. She thought I was depressed. So that doctor, who I thought was a really good doctor, she treated AIDS patients. I thought, she was an internist in Atlanta. I thought she should be really good. And she said to me the last time I saw her, and I went to see her at least once a year, maybe more. And I also had a neurologist. He never ordered an MRI. How can you not order a brain MRI for somebody who's sick for that long? I don't know. So I wrote her a letter and I said, I'm not going to sue you. But from now on, please, when people come to see you and they say they're sick, believe them. Please believe them.
Yeah. Good for you.
So that was a lesson for her, because she eventually found out what was wrong with me. And the neurologist I called him on the phone. I said, I have a brain tumor. He called me right back. And then he said, well, if you're going to have one, that's a good one to have. Great. Great. But the good news is that I got well. So part of me getting well was I feel like I'm a miracle. And then I get to help people. I get to give people messages in the middle of the night, or, the most oddest places. The best example of that was when I got well, my husband his health tanked, and he needed an MRI. So I took him to Emory down the street, Emory University, which is a great medical school.
Yeah, it is.
And I took him to the wrong side of the hospital. So I had to push him in a wheelchair underneath the street, down the tunnel, to where he really needed, it was the right place for the MRI. And then they said, you're late, but we'll take him anyway. And then all of a sudden, I got so thirsty. It was like I was in the desert. All of a sudden, and I thought, wow, I could have gotten a water where I was. I could have, in that building, gotten a bottle of water. But I thought, well, I've never been to the gift shop. Let me just go across the street. And so you can go across the street in a, one of those sky things. So I walked across the street, went to the gift shop at Emory University Hospital, and standing in line, and this woman walked in, and she looked like death warmed over. I've never seen anybody look that upset. And so she asked we were all standing in line. She asked the person that was the cashier, where was the dining room, the dining hall. And I said, well, I don't have anything to do. I know where everything is. I'll take you. So I walked her down the hall, and this is what she said to me. She said, my daughter just had a baby, and the baby was born without a pituitary gland. And I'm like, oh, there it is. There it is. And this was like the first time that happened that I got to do that. And I said to her, I said, well, and I told her my story that I'd had pituitary surgery in that hospital not that long ago, like less than a year. And I said, these doctors that are pituitary doctors are the best in the world. And I just reassured her that everything was going to be okay. We went and got her daughter a hamburger. And then I walked her across the street to the children's hospital, left her at the front of the children's hospital. I never saw her again.
Wow.
But I get to do that. I meet people in trains in the middle of the night that have, some kind of problem. I meet people in restaurants. Oh, I was in a restaurant here in Charleston before I moved here, and I'm sitting at the bar eating. There's 2 seats beside me. This couple comes in and sits down, and the woman is eating and eating and eating. Like, I'm like thinking, goodness gracious, like, woman, and she was thin and beautiful. And after she stopped eating, she started talking to me. And then she said, I have stomach cancer, and they are removing my stomach tomorrow at the Medical University of South Carolina. And I said, well, let me tell you this. So then I told her my story, and I said, if you're meeting me, the message is you are going to recover. You are going to be well. You are not going to die.
Jennie, that's just
I talked to her for a long time, and her husband's like sitting there kind of listening. And then at the end of it, when they were getting ready to leave, I think I channeled something, and I said, and it wasn't my voice, I said, now go dance. And they went to the front of the restaurant where there was music, like a piano playing. Mm-hmm. People don't dance there. They danced together, and then they went out the door. And he came back and thanked me. And I'm like, you don't need to thank me. But this is what I get to do. I get to be an angel on earth. It's the biggest.
It's a huge gift.
It's such a. I'm so happy about it. It makes me happy. I'd love to do it.
I love that.
And spirit
seeing the smile on your
up.
face talking about it, and you can see the joy that it brings you.
Mm-hmm.
I think, a lot of us are earth angels, and that's what we're here for, to make people feel better, to give them hope. And I think that it's people like us that have been through the ringer in whatever way, because it differs with each of us, that it is important to go, wow, I'm still here. I'm 71 and I made it this far. And I feel good. I'm doing good. I'm happy. Who knew?
I know.
I just wanted to insert a congratulations to White Dragon.
White Dragon. Yes. Congratulations, Granddaddy. He just had his daughter had a baby girl.
Congratulations, White Dragon.
I love that.
That's wonderful.
Hey, Viviane.
Isn't it fun to spoil a daughter or granddaughter?
And then when my husband was passing, that's a whole other story. So at the time we were living in a condo overlooking the ocean, and he loved being there because he felt like he was outside, and he had MS.
What was wrong with your husband?
Well, he had MS.
Okay.
But in the end,
20 years, right?
In the end, he died of a heart problems,
right?
Which was better, because if he had just gone on having MS, he would have ended up being paralyzed, which he wouldn't have liked. So he needed open heart surgery. And then I was like calling the doctor saying, you need to tell me the truth. You really need to tell me the truth, because I kept saying to his family, you need to come see him before February or he's not going to be here. So I knew already.
Right.
And so the doctors, his neurologist finally said, he won't survive that surgery, open heart surgery. He won't survive it. And if he does, his quality of life would be zip. So we decided to call in hospice, and hospice was amazing. It was a nonprofit. But what I wanted to say was that condo was full of angels, full. They were everywhere. Now I couldn't see them, but I could feel them.
Right.
And they were there. And then Terry Suzuki, she saw a huge angel over top of the condo building that was the color of peacocks, but the feathers were swords.
Wow.
It was really amazing. And so one time when I left the condo, I was shaking all over. And then I realized I had done that one other time when I was with somebody who was in hospice and dying. And when I left the energy, I stayed until 1 hour before he passed. And then all of a sudden I got the message, it's time to go now. So I got up and left, and I was shaking all over. And that's leaving the angel energy.
Right.
When you leave that angel energy and they're all packed in there, I would shake all over, all over, because your body has to acclimate from going from that intense angel energy
no kidding.
to regular.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you weren't with him when he passed?
Well, I was there, but I wasn't in the same room.
Wasn't in the room with him. Right.
I wanted to be there, but
your guides didn't think you needed to be there.
He wasn't going to let me. He wasn't going to let me.
Right.
Yeah. So I was in the next room when he passed, but I was there every night, every day, every night.
Of course.
And then the last week was so hard. He kept waking me up every 2 hours, and I was like, I need help. So I started hiring people to stay with him so I could sleep.
Yeah, that's tough.
But yeah, and I took pictures. I tried to get orbs, couldn't see any orbs, but so he did come. He's been almost in every reading. He went immediately to a friend of mine and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not going to say who that is because she probably doesn't want her name, but
my husband used to come up in all my readings.
For helping me and helping him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said that the angel energy really helped him. And when it came time, they just lifted him up and off he went.
That's beautiful.
And it was the angels that took him. But he saw Irish descendants. He saw his mother. He saw his sister who passed. All of them.
How long before he died did he start seeing people? Was he a psychic, or was this just?
I don't think he was psychic. No, he was just seeing the people that come to get you when you're passing.
That happened with my husband too. He saw his father. Although my husband was a psychic, right before he passed, I knew he was going because he saw his father, which he had never come to him before. And he started talking about all these beings around him. And I knew it wasn't long.
The first thing he said was, there's Irish people here. And I said, well, where are they? And he pointed at the end of the bed. And I said, how many? He goes, 5. And his lineage is Irish.
Right.
So, and then one time I sat down on the bed and he goes, you sat on the cat. I didn't have the wherewithal to ask him which cat, I should have asked, but.
I know, but your emotions are really fraught by that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
But we had a heck of a contract. Now that I know about contracts, I had that contract to come here and get sick for 20 years. And then we had that contract to take care of each other for all that time. And
somehow knowing it's a contract makes it easier, doesn't it? It does make it easier. Makes more sense. It makes more sense. And the pain
when you're in it, you're like, what is going on? I don't understand this. But then when you learn about contracts,
I think it
it's
changes
very
helpful.
it does help you stabilize.
Yeah, I think stabilize is a perfect word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And I had a lot of help from people in our community. A lot of help.
Yeah, I
During that
remember when
time
you were
of him
going
passing.
through that. Well, tell me this. When did you start? When did you know that you were psychic? When did your psychic abilities, did you have them your entire life? Or
Well, I wasn't like some other people, but when I was in college, I got the clear message to go home. Go home, go home, go home, go home. And I'm like, I'm in college. I just got back to the second year. I'd only been there for like 4 days. And I'm like, I'll go home tomorrow. I'll go home tomorrow. Wrong. So my grandmother was dying.
Oh.
And I missed it.
Right.
And I missed it. So that was really the first time. And then plus the knowing that there was something I had to do I want to do. But I think I didn't really know until after I got well, and then I was helping people, as an earth angel or doing what spirit told me to do. And I also had one time when I was in Charleston, I was helping a friend of mine who had she was in her 40s and she had breast cancer. So I said, well, let me make cancer fun for you. And we did. Like I went to every single appointment with her, every surgery, everything. And the night before her surgery, I took her to that same restaurant where I met the woman who was having surgery the next day. And this was the night before her surgery. And I saw a vision when I was in the parking lot. And it was black and white. And I've never seen a vision before, I don't think. So it, kind of slowly ebbed in for me, I guess. And then I started, then there was YouTube during COVID, and I started taking classes from Medium Kim and Susan Lynn, and then we were off to the races.
Right. COVID did that for Heather and I as well.
Yeah.
It was like we honed right in on whatever it was. I started channeling. So I was watching Gaia and a program called Interviews with Extra Dimensionals, and they had a bunch of channelers on. And so I would listen to them to find out, because they did one episode was the person channeling, and the other episode was about that person and how they got started. I was totally clueless. I didn't know what was going on. My husband was a psychic, not me. I had no idea. And I started channeling all this information. And one show we watched, I started channeling the entity the person was channeling, like 2 hours after we watched the show. And I was like, am I making this stuff up? Is this bullshit? What's going on?
Yeah.
Poor Heather. Am I crazy? Am I going crazy?
You would not believe how many times she asked that. I said, no, you're not going crazy.
But we learned so much during COVID, and we did so much practicing, and we found so many people on YouTube. I'd never watched YouTube before. I just started watching it during COVID. I didn't. In fact, I only started watching it.
Started off.
Yeah. Once we turned it on, we never turned it off for 2 years.
We watched everything there was to watch.
So I've been, seeking the advice of psychics since I lived in Atlanta, because I needed help. And so there's this one trance channel. Her name is Summer Bacon, and she used to live in Sedona, and I think she's like summerbacon.com, and she channels an angel named Dr. Peebles. And Dr. Peebles lived on the earth for almost 100 years.
Wow.
And so I've had readings from Dr. Peebles probably 7 times. And he told me a long time ago that I would be reading the Akashic records.
Is that right?
And I'm like, yeah.
Sure.
You kind of go, right, okay.
That's what I said. That's what happened to me when they told me I was
a metaphor. Because he said, it's like looking in a pool of water. And if you look long enough, you'll start to see things. And so I really didn't understand that. But now I'm reading the Akashic records like crazy. So
I can't wait to
he was right. And he's always helped me.
I've
And
heard
there's
of
all
him.
kinds of free teachings on Summer's website. So I guess during these years, I don't know, sometime when I had nothing to do, I studied everything that all the free teachings. So a lot of the things that I know, I learned from Dr. Peoples.
That's really interesting. Dr. Peoples, and that's Summer Bacon.
Yeah, Summer Bacon. Yeah, BACON. Summer. Yeah. Yeah. So, and so she used to do. She doesn't really channel him anymore for individual readings, but she'll do like once a month. She'll do a reading for the collective, and then you can purchase it for $10 and listen to it as much as you want. So that's what I do. Sometimes she takes questions, and you can send in a question, but it can't be an individual question. It has to be a question for
the collective,
for most people.
Right.
But yeah, I've learned so much. It's like going to university. I went to Dr. Peoples University.
Dr. Peoples University. That's pretty neat. I've heard of Dr. Peoples. I've never listened to him, but I have heard of him.
So there are some. So the Barbara, what's her name? Braca Goldsmith. She's she
you
channels.
guys, we only have one thumbs up. It just popped up. Can you guys please go thumbs up for Jennie? I'd appreciate it. Because there's 17 watching and only one thumbs up. So please. And you might want to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because we're at like 489. We're really getting close to 500 or 487, something like that. I can't remember.
Almost there.
We're almost there, yeah.
So if you go on Braha Goldsmith's channels,
I've watched a lot of her.
Sometimes, like twice, that Summer has appeared on her show, because Summer actually taught her how to channel.
I'll be darned.
So Summer does teach channeling too, to individuals.
That's interesting.
So you can see her channel Dr. Peoples. She's very shy about it. I'll say that. Right.
And just so you know, in case you weren't reading it, you have 14 thumbs up.
I see. And I have no idea why the our thing says 1. But thanks, everybody. We really appreciate it. Oh, my God. Lark Kemper's out there stacking wood. It must be wintertime, coming up to winter where you are, Lark.
It's getting there for me. I put the dog's dog coat on this morning. When she's cold, she just sits down and won't move. And the first time I tried to walk her, that's what she was doing. So I came back in and we put her coat on, went out, it was just fine.
That's funny. What's the temperature in Colorado right now?
Oh, right now it's beautiful out, but we walk between 6:30 and 7, and it's a little chilly at bedtime.
I bet it is.
But she's up between 6 and 6:30, so
too early for me. I don't get out of bed till at least 8.
No, wait a minute. It's 8:30 your time. You're fine.
I don't get out of bed till 12.
Is that right? I get out of 8 only because the dog wants to go out by 9. So I'm up, have a coffee before I go walk the dog.
See?
She's got, as she ages, she's 9. She's asleep next to me. But she can wait till 9 or 9:30 nowadays. Before it was really early, but with
I was looking straight down because Xena's between my legs under the chair.
Bobby's asking where we all are from. I'm from Key West, originally from Fort Worth, Texas, but I live in Key West. And Heather is originally from New Jersey and lives in Denver.
Talk. Hey, I could talk. Anyway, I started out in New Jersey, went to Kansas, then went to Texas, and the Key West, and now I'm in Denver.
Where were you raised?
I grew up in the mountains of Virginia,
but
I never liked the mountains. I was like, I didn't like it. I felt lonely there. So my father was a beach freak. So we went to the beach like 3 or 4 times a year. And I always wanted to live at the beach. I always wanted to live by the ocean. And then it took me like 30 years, but I actually did accomplish that.
Well, it only took me 65 to get to the ocean. But I love the mountains as well. If I could find a place that had mountains behind me and the ocean in front, that would
That sounds like LA.
In fact, I've seen them on some kind of a show, but there are some islands that are mountainous, and when you go down, there's the beach.
Hawaii.
It wasn't Hawaii. It was a foreign country, but I don't remember what it was.
But I mean, Hawaii has mountains and
Yeah,
ocean,
and ocean.
even though they're volcanoes.
Yeah.
I'll pass on that too.
So, no, I think the only thing that bothers me was the earthquakes in California, and now the tremors that I'm constantly feeling from the ley lines.
Yeah, when I lived in California, I had to drive on the 405 all the time, and I would, if you had to, and it was stop and go traffic all the time too. So I would never stop under an underpass. I would stop before the underpass. I'm like,
I don't blame
that
you.
thing's falling, and it's not falling on me.
I don't blame you. That makes perfect sense to me. Being in Texas, we had tornadoes a lot, so I would always make sure I was under the underpass.
Yeah, there's a difference there. They are the same way.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I spent most of my adult life in Kansas. So, about it's not quite. No, Texas not near so long as Kansas.
Right.
And my son is there. My grandkids, and it's only an hour flight, so I could go see them. And it's a cheap flight, so that's good.
So I'm going to Austin next Memorial Day weekend, and I've never been to Austin before. Anybody have any?
Austin's fun. Austin's brilliant.
My daughter loved Austin. She went to school there.
Me too.
She loved it. So, and when I drove her down, it's a nice area.
Oh, it's beautiful, and there's so much music and food.
Right.
Anything you want to do down there. I used to hitchhike down there when I was young. My older sister lived down there. She would be horrified. I'd come knocking on the door.
So,
Oh, how I lived through that, I don't know.
well, can you imagine? Her husband used to bicycle from England to, was it in France?
France, the south of France.
In the summer to work down.
My husband and his best friend bicycled through England and France in
Wow.
the summer times when they were kids, little kids, like 15, 16.
So how did you meet your husband?
I went to England in 1995 for a job. Funny thing was, about 6 months before I moved to England, I was laid off, got a new job in Houston, had to sell my house. I was packing all my stuff up, cleaning it out, and I ran across this astrology chart that I had done years before. I'd been holding on to it for some reason, just stuck in my filing cabinet. One of those ones where you peeled, the first computer ones where you had to peel the edges off. Do you remember the paper like that?
Oh, I do.
Back in the 80s. Yeah. It said I would marry a foreigner later in life. And I just laughed and I thought, that's ridiculous, and put it away. Well, actually, it went in the trash because I was moving to Houston. So I was only in Houston about 3 months. In the company I'd worked for before in Dallas, we had people from England that were manufacturing for us, and they asked me to come over to England to set up their quality assurance program and for FDA requirements. So those poor people in Houston, I was only there 4 months, and I buggered off to England in April of 95. And I met him in November, the end of November of 95. And we were married in 97. His wife had only died 5 months before I met him.
Wow. Now,
I didn't know he was psychic until years later when we moved back to Texas. For my mom, my mom was ill, and my daughter was having children, so I was ready to be grandmommy, and so we decided to move back to Texas. What he didn't tell me when he came in the house and said, "Do you want to move to Texas?" I was like, "What? You never wanted to live in the U.S." And he never explained it then, but later on he said when he got in the car there would be a map of Texas on the windscreen, and it didn't go away until he asked me if I wanted to move.
Wow.
I knew he had really good intuition because one time he had come. I worked in New Jersey and would fly back and forth from Manchester, New Jersey, several times a month because we had a facility in New Jersey. And he came over one time to visit while I was there and to see New York City and that sort of stuff. And we get a phone call from the guy watching my horses, and he said, "You need to come home." I can't even remember the mare's name. She's getting ready to foal. And I'm like, "Nah, she's got a couple of weeks. We're good." And David turned around to me and said, "Nope, we need to go. I think we need to go." And I'm like, "What? It's going to cost us a bloody fortune to change our airfare and blah, 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 blah." I got home. I had received a foaling halter from my sister. She'd sent it up to New Jersey for me, for Queenie, because I knew Queenie was going to foal. I put that on her, and 15 minutes later, she was in labor. It was a breech birth. We lost the foal, but saved the mare because I was there and could call the vet. If we hadn't been there, the mare would have died as well. Because the guy that was watching him was he was a sheep man, and he was always up in the fields with his sheep and stuff. He only stopped in, to feed or whatever. And so that was the first inkling I had. He was really hesitant to tell me. He thought he was crazy.
So did he know?
He knew. He was an engineer. He was a
reverse engineering.
He had all these bloody degrees and was very black and white. There was no gray until he met me. And then he found out what gray was.
So he must have been possibility. I mean, he did have that English degree, literature.
Uh-huh.
So he had some of the right brain, but the rest of it was left brain stuff.
Yeah, so he fought it for years, but he was an incredible psychic. I used him in business. When I was having a business meeting, I would make sure that he was with me so that he could shake hands with the people that I was dealing with. I was trying to sell some property, commercial property. He knew everything about you as soon as he shook your hand. As soon as he touched you, he knew everything about you. So it was really nice because it was like, is he a good one or a bad one? It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. But it all happened later in his life, and he died at 72.
So where did you live in England?
Manchester, Derbyshire. We lived outside of Manchester in the what they call the Peak District. And we had an acre of land, and I used to herd my horses down the lane. I had American miniatures, and I would herd them down the lane up to the sheep herder's pasture, and that my horses would go to pasture in the springtime, and I herd them right up. It was the cutest thing. I just loved living there. It was beautiful.
It was
Really
beautiful. I saw the place, and it's a beautiful setting.
I'd forgotten how beautiful it was till we went back there in 2017. Heather and I went to Europe, England, Scotland, Ireland, and
we didn't make
Greece.
it to Scotland.
We never made it up to Scotland?
We never made it to Scotland.
Ireland then, okay.
Yeah, Ireland we spent the day in.
So we drove up there, and I had forgotten how gorgeous it was. It was just absolutely beautiful.
I was surprised at how big it was. I always thought, okay, you've got this little country here compared to the United States. But when I got there, I'm going, this is big. It's
weird. It doesn't feel, it's just like your neighborhood anywhere or wherever you live. It's funny. Right. I used to laugh. I'd be late to work because I'd have to stop for the dairy people to move their cows across the road. They'd come down the road, and the first time it happened to me, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be late to work. Being an American, I had to be at work on time. Mm-hmm. Not in England. It was like manana. But it just made me happy to be able to stop for cows crossing the road on my way to work. It was a beautiful place to live. Beautiful, beautiful.
I love England. I'm going back sometime.
I don't know if I'll go back or not. I'll be happy to. I have no idea where I'm going to be going these days. Just
Yeah.
seems like Spirit says, "Oh, yep, you're going to be traveling for the next 10 years." And I'm like, "Really? Where am I going? I kind of like my
Yeah, I was
home."
going to say, if we ever get back towards the England area, I will make sure that I get to Scotland. I'm
Yeah.
50% Scottish. I would like to see my home.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, it is pouring rain here. If I lose you, that's why. It is just
we have beautiful sunshine.
sheets
The
of
windows are
rain.
shut because the wind is a little bit cooler, but they're big windows and you have the sun come in, so it warms it up. It's nice.
Right. This is crazy. It's really loud. I'm surprised you can't hear it. So, Jennie, what else do we need to know about you?
I don't know.
Are you doing Akashic readings for other people now? Do you have an email that you want that we can put in the...
Well, my email is just my name, JennieCulkin@gmail.com.
So if
I am
anybody's...
doing readings for other people, but I'm still into practice mode, so they're free.
Sign up, everybody. They're free.
They're free. So when you're practicing, you get one free reading. And then after that, there has to be an exchange of energy.
Absolutely.
Even a trade. It can be a trade.
Right.
Doesn't have to be money.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that's how we all work. I love that.
It's so wonderful. So yeah, so I don't know if the class is full, but it's Valerie Dragonfly Crystals.store.
Yeah.
And she's the one that's giving the class, and it's October 14th. It's extremely affordable. So we're begging her to give more classes.
Oh, yeah. The class is $29. You can't.
$29. It's 2 hours.
It's 2 hours, and everybody that has gone to that class has raved about it. So
I know.
I'm really excited.
It's really life changing. It really is life changing. She's the best teacher, and so.
And it's something that anybody can afford.
Yes.
A lot of classes that are.
And then we practice every Sunday night for an hour, which is fabulous. We're all reading each other. And so, we ask questions about in what lifetime did this illness begin? Or in what lifetime did this pattern of behavior begin? And it comes right out. And then there's a way of healing it. So the Akashic Masters can heal these things over all dimensions, all lifetimes, past, future, in between lifetimes. They can heal it all. And they say with surgical precision. So if you're do Reiki, then you can also do Akashic reading and put Reiki and the healing of the Akashic Masters together.
That's incredible.
I don't even know what to say. It's incredible.
Well, I have to say that they've healed my leg. When I had a reading with Terry, and I have a little arthritic pain in it first thing in the morning in both of my knees. But that wasn't the issue. My chiropractor said my leg is more aligned. My hips are more aligned. And I say chiropractor, but truly he's an acupressure. I mean, he's a great chiropractor if that's what you need, but it's his thumb I want. He does everything with his thumb. Is that not right, Heather? It's incredible what he can do with his thumb. And he said the energy was running better through my body, everything. So I'm a believer. Now, I also asked for my type 1 diabetes to be healed. And they said that would take some time. Yeah. It wasn't going to be instantaneous like my knee was. I haven't seen any difference yet, but
you will.
I believe it will.
Did you ask what lifetime that came from?
No, I didn't think to ask what lifetime that came from.
Do that next time.
I will. There's a lot of things I learned I needed to ask.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, but they cleared it through all lifetimes.
And all the way down through all lifetimes, and then put you on your highest timeline and the highest timeline of humanity.
Yes.
I mean, it's.
She did that as well.
Everybody has their own Akashic Masters. They're just sitting there waiting for you to talk to them. But
They really are.
you need a key. There's a key to opening the records.
And I left my records open for me.
My records are open. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so Valerie of Dragonfly Crystals .store, she keeps her records open all the time. And, you know, whenever she's on any YouTube channel, she's always laughing. And I think she's always laughing because her records are open. And she is like the highest vibrational person I've ever met.
She really is.
Yeah.
Very, very, very high vibrational.
Yeah.
And she's always happy and laughing. It's pretty amazing.
She's always laughing. Always.
She really is.
So I think that's because she's like up there in the clouds. And she also is a great channeler. She does a lot of channeling. So I'm waiting for her channeling class, even though sometimes, you know, the channel just comes through me when it's a message, but I don't sit down and channel. But when I'm doing Akashic records reading and the person's not there, my hand is just writing fast and furious.
Wow. So you're channeling the information and
it's so it's happy, but it's also, you can heal things. You can heal relationships. You can heal, you can find out where did this affliction come from, and then heal it.
I believe I didn't ask.
Yeah. Well, to me, having access is one thing, but being able to heal is more important.
I agree. I think it's super important to be able to access your previous lives. I've learned so much from past life regression.
Well, Dr. People says, you know, you shouldn't just look at past lives just for the fun of looking at past lives.
Oh, I agree.
You should look at a past life in order to help you in this lifetime.
And it has. My past life regressions have helped me considerably in this lifetime.
Oh, yeah. So I did a regression. I died in the fire of 1820 in Savannah, Georgia. And I was 16 and getting ready to be married. And I had a person give me a regression, and I went back and I remember it. I remember it now. I was beating on the window. Now, I don't know why that window didn't break, but I was beating on the window, yelling at God, mad as heck. Why aren't you going to let me finish this life? Why are you taking me now? And then that came into this lifetime. So I went back and healed it. So in that regression, but that was before I knew about the Akashic records.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Mine were pretty much before I knew what the Akashic records could do.
Yeah, I remember like four of my past lives, the four most recent ones.
Huh. I don't remember them. I don't.
That's a whole other show.
Whew.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of been on a hiatus, and I feel like I'm trying to get back into things now. So, because life happens.
It does. Well, and you moved, and a move across the country is a heck of a emotional.
Like I said, it's life happens. I've been on a hiatus for.
Yeah. We miss you, Heather. We really miss you.
You know, I'll be back. I'm coming back a lot more. Yeah. At least we never let go of the show, so we're good there.
Oh yeah. There was no letting go of the show. You know, we were guided to start the show. I fought it as long as I could until I finally just said, okay, whatever you want, I'm here. Just show me the way.
When I gave up trying to stay in Key West, things went a lot easier.
You just can't make life happen. You have to go with the flow. You just can't demand life to do anything. As soon as you do, they're going to throw some crap at you and blow it all to hell. I've given up worrying about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting though. You know, it's a 1-bedroom apartment, and it feels like a super nice dorm room.
Your apartment's bigger than my house. What are you talking about?
It's not bigger than the house.
It seems like it.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but it's full. It's full.
So do you want to answer this question? Do you guys feel energies and stuff? Yes, Bobby.
I can see energy. I see energy.
I don't see it. I
see it.
I feel it.
Yeah, I feel it too.
I have asked my daughter right outside Well, we were both in the building at the same time with her husband. And I said, do you feel that? And they're saying, what are you talking about? What I was talking about was the ground was shaking.
And they couldn't feel it.
They couldn't feel it, but the ground shakes, and it's sometimes very disconcerting
I bet.
because, you go out in the middle of the night to let the dog out, and you're standing there and the ground is shaking, just shaking. And there's no reason for it to be shaking. There's no cars going by. There's no,
So you're feeling the ley lines. That is so cool.
yeah.
That's
And
very cool.
but it's a little bit disturbing once in a while.
I can imagine.
Sometimes it shakes a lot.
Huh.
I'm going, this is like the earthquake when I was in California. Except it stopped.
That's wild. When I come see you in December, we'll have to check it out.
I'll let you know when it shakes, and then you can see whether you feel
I'm
it.
thinking that the earth is shaking in response to how people are feeling.
We were told that it's shaky because the ley lines are waking up.
Oh, okay.
Because the ley lines are what?
Waking up.
Waking up. I love that.
Yeah.
And I believe it, and I keep working. I mean, I have a job here, so not money.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm something I should be doing, and I am doing it. So, but it's almost to the point where these are the morning chores, because we came from such a humid place to such a dry place. I have 2 air filter humidifiers, one in my bedroom and one for the rest of the house. And
So do you think that they put you there in where you are now so that you could help the ley lines?
yeah, or help the earth somehow.
Help the earth.
We do a lot of earth.
So yes, they put you there for a reason. Okay, yeah.
There
Yeah,
was
we've been working on the earth grid for years.
Yeah.
And doing other work on Mother Earth. That's just who we are. What we do.
Well, that would be
As
another
healers.
great show.
Yeah, I suppose
Yeah.
so. It's funny, the stuff that we've done, we really have never talked about with people.
No, we really haven't.
I don't know why. I guess it's because
We don't
other
need to.
people's stuff
If you
seems
do talk about it, maybe everybody will join
no
in.
kidding. You're right. You're right.
Well, when we ask everybody to spread unconditional love wherever they are, that's part of what we're doing.
Yeah, I do
And
that.
that's
Hi,
the most
Vicky.
that they can do to help. Really.
We have Vicky from the UK here. How fun.
Cool.
Hi, Vicky from the UK. I used to live in the UK, the Peak District outside of Manchester, England. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. I went over with her when we visited, and
Yeah.
where she lived was gorgeous. Really gorgeous. So
It is here too.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know how long I'm going to be in Key West. I get the feeling that I'm going to be
another
moving
7 years.
in a couple of years.
No, 7.
7 years?
Another 7, at least 7.
Huh. Will I still be alive in 7 years? I feel like an old lady.
Absolutely. My mom wasn't the healthiest person, and thankfully I still see and I hear to a certain extent. At least I know how to take care of my hearing aids, but because my mom was blind, deaf, she died at 99.
She was 99.
So you're being healed by your Akashic masters, so
93.
I
So
mean, you're going to live a lot longer.
Yeah, I don't mind how long I live as long as I'm healthy. I don't care. I can live to 100 if that's what they want.
I don't want to just sit there. I want to be productive.
Yeah.
That's what they're having me doing. I'm sitting there anyway.
We're sitting here and being productive. We're sending out love and light to everybody.
Exactly.
I love that. Thanks so much for being here today. I hope you'll come back.
And I have
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed your story.
Your
And what
story's
you're doing
amazing.
now, has it made it worth it? All the stuff you had to go through for the contract?
Yes.
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 Good. So, but I'm so happy that it is a happy ending
Yes.
of that.
Yeah.
Or a happy beginning.
Yes, a
Yeah.
happy beginning.
Happy beginning.
Well, I'm
Who
an
knows?
ending of that contract.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
I
what
was,
you're doing now is so much. You enjoy it, and that's the thing
Yeah.
that's right.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could have been dead, gone.
No kidding. This is awfully sweet, Linda Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I've really enjoyed this program. I'm 77 from North Carolina, originally from Massachusetts. You all are so interesting. I have no memories to tell about. That's
Well, I'll
okay.
tell you.
Just join us. We
Yeah.
don't mind.
What is the year? 23. Okay, 73. You're right there with us.
Exactly. We're all in our, well, not all of us. So we got some pretty young crones around here too.
Yeah, but Crone means wise woman.
That's
Doesn't
right.
matter.
And we have a chat room full of wise women that I'm aware of,
And
some men as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So thank you guys for being here today. This hour went really quick. Jennie, thanks for sharing your story.
Well,
It's an
thanks for
amazing
having me
story.
and being so kind. I
so
love both of you
enjoyed
so
it.
much.
We so enjoyed it.
Yeah, and to see how happy you are, the smile on your face. Every time I see you, you have a smile on your face. Grin from cheek to cheek. I love it. It's beautiful.
And somebody commented that they love the way you laugh.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I love
That
that.
brings joy too.
Thank
So
you.
that's great. And like I always say, share your love with everybody.
That's right.
Unconditional. Whether you like them or don't like them, it doesn't matter. Everybody needs your unconditional love,
They really
That's
do.
true.
including yourself.
Very
Unity
wise.
consciousness and unconditional love. That is what we're all aiming for in ascension, because that unconditional love is the vibration of the universe. It's a vibration of creation. It's everything.
And
So-
you really cannot have unity consciousness without unconditional love.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for being here. We hope to see you again. Oh, when are you on next? Do you know?
I'm on with Wisdom Seeker Joan. I can't remember the date. Just look under Wisdom Seeker Joan. We're going to be, yeah.
You're gonna
We
do
don't
Akashic
actually
reading?
go in to read people's Akashic records because there's a process to that. You can't really do it in an hour with
Yeah,
multiple
I'm sure.
people. But we do kind of go into your field. Your Akashic field is all around you. And it's also the quantum field. So
Yeah.
go into the quantum field.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend. We love you. We cherish every moment we spend with you. Believe it or not, we love doing this. I had no idea I would enjoy it so much and get so much love out of it and meet such wonderful people.
And thank you all.
Love to all.
So thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.